Hey everybody, welcome to Cult Fiction. We're gonna do an episode today on Twisters, which we never covered when it came out, but is now on Peacock for free, so you
Woohoo!
can watch it streaming. And we wanted to do a quick thing on this. I want to go last. I actually want to talk last because I went full bore on this and I watched the original Twister again. And I don't know if you
Ooh,
guys have
man.
gone back and watched the first Twister again. So I have some things to say. So we're gonna go around. Eric, let's start with you. Let's hear what you had to say about Twisters, the second one, the sequel to the original.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It made a lot of money at the box office, so people were digging it. People must have been going and seeing it, again, or it had good word of mouth or whatever. Um, I felt it had a lot of the same elements of the first movie. Um,
Yeah, very similar, just similar plot layout too.
yeah, I thought it was exciting. There were some edgier seat, moments where you're like, oh shit. Uh, I thought the characters were, largely likable. Nobody was necessarily off-putting. That wasn't meant to be off-putting.
Right.
You know, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it kind of gave me um, a kind of '90s feel.
It did. It felt like a throwback, kind of.
Yeah, which is funny, and I honestly think that's one of the reasons it did well at the box office. Kind of like Maverick, whereas
Right.
these '80s and '90s movies they get kind of poo-pooed, but that formula worked. This people like that formula.
Right.
You know, um, they keep trying to reinvent the wheel and do different things, and it's certainly okay to try different things. That's fine. But there's something about um there's a reason why Jaws works.
Right.
There was a reason why Jurassic Park worked. There's a reason why the original Twister worked,
Hmm.
you know. And maybe reinventing the wheel is, every time. You're not necessarily smarter than the people that came before you
Right.
all the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Alex, what was your take on it?
I mean, ultimately, this is one of those movies I think where it's like, I mean, if you're gonna judge it, is it good? I mean, no, but do you care? It's like it's one of those movies that's like just there to entertain you, and that's it.
right.
Like if you saw the preview and you're like, oh, that might be good. Like it's
It
going to
delivered
do
on its
exactly what the
promise.
preview showed you. Like
Right.
there's
Right.
not going to be any surprises. So
Right.
if you like saw a preview and like that looks like a good movie, you're going to go and you're going to see the exact movie you think it's going to be,
Right.
Right.
right? Now, I mean, you can pick it apart and like find the flaws on it and everything, sure. I'm not quite sure why the chick is like the Twister Whisperer or something, and sure, I
Yeah.
wasn't quite getting on it. Like puts her fingers in the air and talks to Twisters or something.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever. She's
Yeah.
got a
But it's
gift.
like, yeah, it's like Eric was said, they didn't have any characters that were annoying or unlikable. There was that one guy that we thought was kind of going to be unlikable. It turns out, oh, he's not such a bad guy. And it was interesting. I know the director, I forget his name, but he actually fought really hard to keep politics out of the movie. Like
Right.
the studios wanted to push a whole like climate change angle and everything, and he was like, "No, I'm not going to do any of that. I just want the movie to be exciting and entertaining."
Yeah.
Of
That would
course,
be Isaac Chung.
Hmm.
yeah. And
Well, good for
wow,
him.
maybe he made a good, maybe he made some progress, and I can see that. Just make an entertaining movie if it's just meant to be an entertaining movie.
Yeah. I was
Right.
gonna say, it was fascinating to see that the same thing was true of the first one. Obviously, the first one was made in '96. It was kind of before a lot of the climate change stuff. But to see both of these movies about tornadoes and have no mention of climate change anywhere in either one of them was fascinating.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, it is what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything else. So
Hmm.
Right.
it's sort of like if that's something that interests you, check it out. It's not going to do anything we haven't seen before, or it's not going to do anything that surprises you. Sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Mr. Bueller, what do you say?
So I had zero desire to see this movie when it came out in theaters, and I
Mm,
think I think Eric might have hit the nail on the head when he said word of mouth. Because I've talked to a few people since it's come out on Peacock that kind of feel like they were, and I don't want to go against what Alex said, but feel like they were maybe misled by the trailers a little bit
Mm,
because the only trailers that I saw were true to the name Twisters, and it was like, what's the guy's name? Glen Powell. Uh,
Yeah.
and it was like, and then there was two tornadoes, and it was like, oh, now there's two of them, and it was like, are you fucking kidding me? The sequel to Twisters is going to be about dual tornadoes. Get fucked. I don't want to see this fucking movie at all. I have no desire to see this movie. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. So I was like vehemently against going to see it. Didn't care about it. One of my coworkers went and saw it in the D box seats, like the 4D D box stuff. And this guy's an avid movie watcher. He came back and he was like, I liked it, man. I really, really enjoyed it. And I was surprised because this guy's like, Mikey doesn't like anything, but he
right.
still goes to all these movies. So I was like, okay, but I still didn't want to see it. Another friend went and saw it from work, and he said, no, it was surprisingly good. And I was like, doubt, I don't believe you. Uh, but then, then it was like, oh, it's free on Peacock, and two people that I work with said it was cool. And then Eric chimed in the chat and said that he enjoyed it, and so it was like, let's just give it a shot. And so, yeah, my expectations were like non-existent for this movie, and it wasn't about two twisters. Like that's why I feel like I
Right.
would have given it way better of a shot if I would have had a better handle on it because it wasn't about that at all. Yeah, it happens in the movie, spoiler, but like that's not what the movie's about at all.
Happened
And
in the first movie.
and
It did.
I
There was two
couldn't
twister. Yeah, there was a double twister in the
I
first
see it,
movie.
and I didn't rewatch it, so I didn't recall that either. So I was like, whatever. So it happened once in the movie, and it was over. And the rest of the movie was really good, man. Yeah, it was a lot of relayed plot points from the first one. It was extremely predictable. I think Caitlin and I were basically calling out what was going to happen next throughout the entire movie, at least five different times between the two of us. But who cares? It was fun. It was a
Right.
good watch. And as far as the elements resembling, even the passenger in the bad guy van really like resembled Carrie Elway's character
He did.
from the first one.
Oh yeah.
He did.
It-
No,
so
that's
they
Superman.
did a great job. They I didn't know how they were going to capture the nostalgia of something that was made in 1996 and make it more current and make it fun and enjoyable and do everything that they did. I enjoyed the whole thing, man. The only thing that was initially off-putting for me, and this is a me thing, I will take full responsibility for this, is I didn't realize the ages of our first characters in the movie were college. I thought, because I'm old now, I thought these were like high school age kids. So when they come out and it's like it's been 5 years and one dude's joined the military and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden, the chick's falling in love with Glen Powell, who looks like he's our age, well, not our age, but closer to our age. I'm like, this feels gross. It feels really gross. But then you find out like they were in college when they did that first experiment,
Sure.
and so
Right.
then it's like then it doesn't feel as weird. But at first, I was like, dude, she's like barely out of high school, and this guy's 40. This is weird, man. So
Right.
that was a me thing, and that was the
That's
only
a it's
thing.
a Hollywood age thing. Like it's really hard to tell
Yeah.
how old people are and also how old they're supposed to be unless it's really explicit. It's weird. I get
So I
that.
So
guess one of the girls in the beginning, I mean, spoiler, fuck it, it's out on
Spoilers.
Peacock.
Yeah, watch out.
One of the girls in the beginning that ends up dying, um, like she looks like a high schooler, and I guess
Sure.
she
yeah,
perpetually looks like a high schooler in all the roles that she plays.
Right.
yeah,
So maybe that
The
shit,
blonde girl. Yeah.
she was
yeah.
the one in that Back to the Future serial killer movie.
Right.
Which one
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Right. I forget what
She
it's
was the
called.
daughter on Mad Men too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. She's been in some
so
stuff.
but Glenn Powell, dude, I mean, he's one of those guys in Hollywood that's becoming like they're calling him a value actor because he's inexpensive, but he's actually enjoyable on screen, man. So
Yeah, and then the
almost,
bad guy, the one that you were talking about, that was in the passenger seat. That
Evil nerd.
evil nerd. He's the new Superman.
Hmm.
he's the new Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh wow, okay, cool. And then we couldn't place Javi, and we realized he's from Hamilton.
Yeah,
yeah,
Javi, dude, Anthony, his name is Anthony Ramos. He's actually he's great. I really like that guy a lot, and I'm
Yeah,
glad to see that he's doing like A-list stuff because he's
and
got
yeah,
chops.
he was also the lead in the last
the Transformers movie.
Transformers.
Right,
That's right.
right. So I'm glad to see that dude's getting his name out there because I like him a lot. He's got a really good presence. Um, so okay, so here's the thing. I went back and I watched Twister, the original Twister yesterday, right? Um, it is better than you remember. It's a better
Yeah.
movie than you recall it being. It actually was good. It was a good flick.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's like the magic of the 80s and 90s that you're talking about, Eric, is a movie when you can make a movie where what's going to happen is predictable, but it's entertaining anyway.
Yeah.
It,
Mhm.
it's like you're like, oh, this is the part where the bad guy rises up, he's not really dead, but you're like, oh, you're still on the edge of your seat. There's something about when you go to the movies and you spend $50 on popcorn, like you want to be thrilled, right? You don't want to be scolded. You don't want to be told that you're stupid. You don't want to be told that, this you shouldn't be looking for the kind of experience that you're looking for in a movie, because what we're going to be doing is talking about this other stuff all day instead, right? You want to be thrilled. You want to be entertained. And that's what both of these movies did, I thought, so well. Um,
It's like, I think a lot of times the studios forget the movies are about escapism a lot of times.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
you
It's like,
don't, you want to not feel like you're, in the world you're in. For
right.
a couple hours, you want to be something else.
That's right. That's right. And there are core narratives in movies that work, they get repeated, man versus man versus nature, man versus self. Like these are enduring themes because they work, right? Because they're interesting. Um, but I will say this about the first Twister, the 96 one with the great Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, whose features are remarkably avian. I really don't know how she has such avian. She looks like a human eagle. I don't know how she
And
does that.
and it also had Helen Hunt's butt in the shower.
That's
I just
thanks.
remember because I was in high school and I enjoyed seeing
Thanks. That's
that.
this is
Put
true.
it on my watch list.
What I was not, I'll tell you the one thing I was not at all ready for watching that movie was
Helen, but
young, long-haired Philip Seymour Hoffman.
dude, for real though, for
I
real.
remember that.
It's like he's like the young, like extreme dude. And
Where's
I'm
the
just like,
Mountain Dew?
this is so opposite. Like I was like I wish I could go back in time and talk to that dude and just be like, you realize that your entire career is going to be defined by the exact opposite of the character that you're
Yeah,
playing right now.
he became such a
Um,
distinguished actor.
Yeah. He
Right.
turned like everything else. You're Truman Capote.
right,
Like
right. But just always so like gritty and like so like tortured. His villain in the Mission Impossible series was like the best villain in that entire series, I thought. But also there's a bunch of actors, I won't go into it, but there's like all these baby faces. Like everybody that was in that movie went on and did something, right? And then the Carrie Elwes as the guy who's he's doing the tornado science for the money, not for the science. That was my favorite because there's so much money in tornado science, right? Get that tornado cheddar. So it was but it was great, man. And the effects really hold up, I thought, in the original one. So I was glad to see that this one lived up to it. I will say this, another spoiler, right? Of course, Carrie Elwes died in the first one, but it was cool to see Javi live and be a good guy at the end. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like help
yeah.
save the guy and like get everybody inside. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's like work together instead of kill off the bad guy. Maybe that's the change that our movies have made.
Can I just say real quick, because I forgot to say on my turn, the night shot of the tornado when they first show it with the like the lightning lighting it up
Yeah.
was awesome.
To
That
show
was such an awesome shot.
and in Twisters or in the first one,
In Twisters in part two.
because they did a very similar thing in the first one where it was like you know something's wrong. I think they're at like a
They're at a drive-in in the first
yeah,
one.
they're at a drive-in. That's right. They're at a drive-in, and it's like the wind is picking up, and then the lightning strikes, and you see like the giant
Yeah.
funnel cloud. That was great. That was great. The other thing about the one of the things that made the first one so enjoyable was the soundtrack. The soundtrack was actually really good. Like, and it fit. I felt like this one, if this movie, I liked this movie, I would recommend this movie. But if it had a weak point, it was the soundtrack. The soundtrack was just kind of generic, right? It didn't have a lot of personality.
We should definitely talk soundtracks at some point in time because I have a favorite.
Oh yeah, well we could talk soundtracks. I was going to ask you guys real quick around the table, favorite disaster flick. What do you think? Can you summon up an answer to that? Like just off the top of your head. I'm going to go in reverse order. Bueller, you start. Your favorite disaster flick. If you're going to tell somebody if you want to see the best disaster flick out there, this is the one that you watch. Go.
Can't even think of one.
It's just The Day After Tomorrow. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
For some reason, The Day After Tomorrow is the one that pops into my head immediately.
I'm gonna say
I don't know.
Armageddon. Armageddon.
Yeah, for me, it's
Okay.
Armageddon.
I mean,
I
obviously,
enjoyed Armageddon. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you put me on the spot, and it's hard. It was hard to think. The Day After Tomorrow popped in my head immediately.
Dude, Day After
I think
Tomorrow
also
wasn't that bad.
the problem also is that there's no real great disaster movies. You know,
I don't
they
know.
tend to be
You
like
guys can say
entertainment.
Armageddon. I'm gonna say Deep Impact.
Ugh.
I would say 2012 wasn't bad. Like 2012 was pretty good actually. You know, everybody talks a lot of crap about disaster flicks, but then they go see them, right? They're like, "Oh, I hated that movie."
Dude, 2012 with the plane taking off was hilarious.
Come on, but that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun, dude.
For
What about Dante's Peak?
Yeah.
For
Dante's
me,
Peak.
it's Armageddon.
With the fucking puppy like out of the raft and shit. With
Yeah.
the monkey going off,
Pierce Brosnan, like
If you're gonna say Dante's Peak, I'm gonna say Volcano.
Lava.
jumping over lava.
So I liked obviously for me it's Armageddon, but another one that I really like is The Core.
Oh, I remember The Core. Yeah,
I actually like The Core a lot.
that had some
Aaron Eckhart.
that had some moments in it. Yeah. Yeah, the part with Stanley Tucci actually.
Yes,
That was one of the great deaths in the history of Hollywood was Stanley
Yeah.
Tucci in that movie.
And so that actually has a lot of fun moments in it. For a world's gonna end kind of movie, stuff like that.
What about San Andreas?
Yeah, San Andreas is
wait.
fun.
San Andreas, that's the one with The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that one's
watchable but forgettable.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the most very true. It's watchable, it's enjoyable, but then you just kind of forget about it.
He did a remake of The Towering Inferno. Skyscraper, is that what it was called?
Skyscraper, yeah.
Which I thought was a lot better than San Andreas.
What about what was it? Daylight with Stallone. Does that count as a
Daylight.
disaster?
Oh yeah,
Daylight was pretty good.
dude, Daylight was great. Does that count as a disaster flick? I think it counts as a disaster.
I don't quite remember what happened. I mean, I remember the movie. I don't remember what the event was.
There's a disaster.
Yeah,
Daylight
it was like
Daylight's one
like
where they're
they
in the
got stuck in
subway
a
tunnels and
tunnel.
there's a flood.
Yeah,
right?
they're like
There's
under
a flood under a tunnel. Yeah.
under
And they somehow managed to dive through a tunnel with a dog, and the dog comes out okay on the other side.
Yeah, so
Are you talking shit about Daylight?
No, but I'll tell you
Daylight.
this: if you guys are going to say Dante's Peak, I'm going to say Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones.
Volcano was so you picked Volcano and Deep Impact. Like
No,
those
I don't pick it. I just think it's funny how
worse versions of the better movies. Those
So
are the
no,
two that you
but
picked.
what I'm pointing out is that it was funny during that period of time where they would constantly come out with like rivaling
Right.
movies that were the exact same theme, dude.
Oh, they still do.
There was another one the same as Twister too. I forget what it was called, but
Tornado.
it was
There was one called The Twisters or something like that. Like
it was way less budget. The other ones that you're talking about, Dante's Peak, Volcano, Deep Impact, and Armageddon, they were like similar blockbustery. They were on similar levels. This one, it was like Twister blew the other one out of the water.
Right.
Blew it out of the water. But I remember another one came out, but it's basically forgot about because Twister just killed it.
For good reason.
That rings that rings a bell. There was
what was the disaster movie with the guy from 300?
Butler.
with
What?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler.
Greenland.
Greenland.
Yeah, that was it. Greenland. Yeah,
That
that
one
wasn't
had
bad, dude.
It had some good sequences in it. I only saw it because it was being clipped on TikTok, but it was
Right.
enjoyable. Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I liked that one. I saw a really bad one called Moonfall. Have you seen?
That one was amazing.
Did the moon fall?
I
It was
so bad.
Don't spoil it. I kind of want to see it.
Okay, all right.
Oh, dude, you are in for a treat then.
I ain't gonna say shit, dude. I want you to
I
watch
want
it.
to see it.
I want you to
Watch
watch it
it.
so I can talk to you after you watch it.
Okay.
If you don't know anything about Moonfall, bro, just watch it without finding out anything else.
Yeah, watch it. Just watch it. Just
Good.
watch it.
Will do. Does Independence Day count as a disaster flick?
That's a good question. I was thinking that.
I don't think Alien Invasion.
Yeah, I think it's more sci-fi. I don't think.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're crossing over then at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, disaster has to be like, some kind of act of God
Yeah.
takes place and people react to the act of God. That's why Daylight, I think, counts as a disaster flick because it's like an earthquake or that causes the flood or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Joe versus the volcano.
Yeah, maybe.
Shut
No,
up.
I don't think that has a volcano in it, Joe. That doesn't make it a
know what
disaster.
That even means. It wasn't the worst movie ever made though. Everybody talks shit about Joe versus Volcano. I kind of liked it. But I like anything with Tom Hanks in it. So, whatever.
Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah, I'll watch Mazes and Monsters right now. I'll watch it right now. That was on TV. Didn't that have the little guy from Booze and Buddies in it? Peter Scolari?
I don't know.
Weren't they both in that? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, I'm tripping.
Shut up.
You shut up. All right. So what are we gonna talk about next week? Let's put it on Front Street so that we know. We're gonna talk about Dune, first episode of Dune.
I think
By then
yeah.
there'll be 2 episodes.
Well, first 2 episodes of Dune.
Yeah,
What else are we gonna talk about?
Dune. Maybe how many people are watching Arcane? Because I haven't watched the
I'll do
new episodes, but I'm gonna knock them out.
I'll do the next 3 of Arcane. So I've watched the first 3. I want to watch the 4 through 6. So let's do that. Let's do first 2 episodes of Dune, middle episodes of Arcane season 2. We can talk a little bit about the first season of Arcane if we want, and we'll go from there. All right, you heard it here first. That's what we're talking about.
Joe hasn't seen Arcane at all, has he?
You better get caught up, sir. It's a good.
I'll just
good
listen
show.
to you guys regale me with the stories of it. It's fine.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. What was that, Eric?
I bet if you watch it and you start watching it,
Didn't you say they were
pick it out pretty fast?
every Sunday?
Sunday is 3 episodes every Sunday. So there's the 4 through 6 just came out.
So does that mean next Sunday the last of them are coming out?
Do you want to do the whole? Yeah, we could do the whole thing.
Might as well do the whole thing, I guess.
All right, you got a lot of watching to do, Joe.
I'm not going to do any of it.
You're missing out, dude. It's a good show.
It is a good show.
Arcane is a good ass show.
If you watch it, you'll like it. I bet Caitlin would like it too, and even the kids.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
mean, once I get done with Tulsa King and Cobra Kai and Doom Prophecy, I'll jump right on Arcane.
You can pause all of that and watch Arcane.
I don't want to.
Okay, well, you gotta do what you think is best. All right, that's it for us. Take it easy, everybody. See you next week.